Hi, it's me, Andrzej. This is another episode I've lost count at this point in the Polish motorcycle track series. Fast where it's allowed. And this time we're in Kamień Śląski at the most impressive training and educational facility in Poland, Silesia Ring. Silesia Ring is exactly what we always needed, a second large racetrack in Poland. It was always just Poznań, and in 2016, using an old airfield, an asphalt track was laid here that's almost 4 kilometers long, which is exactly the typical length of major racing circuit. From 3.5 to 4.5 kilometers, not counting some extreme cases like Spa in Belgium. What's important is that this is not a racing circuit. It is a training facility. It is not a racing circuit because, well, we'll see how it is in the future. It doesn't have racing homologation, so no official races are held here. However, you should know that when Dusan Team or CR Moto organize training sessions here, sometimes amateur races do take place. So basically, it's just a start for the participants, a few laps. All of it is just for fun. We are here during the California Superbike School, which is one of the best ways to start your adventure with track riding or simply to improve your riding technique skills. The point is, if you go to a big track, you might feel even more intimidated than when you go to a small track. Because let's be honest, the speeds here are already very high. Long corners, lots of throttle, lots of braking, lots of gear changes. So if you've never been on a track before, it's worth going somewhere where someone will guide you by the hand at the beginning. So we'll check out what it's like to ride at Silesia at the same time. And secondly, we'll see what it's like to ride together with the California Superbike School. They operate on the basis of several levels, and we'll do it that way. Agnieszka started with level 1, which is about how to control the throttle in corners, and ahead of her are levels 2 and 3, which she'll complete at the track in Poznań. As for me, I'll try to get to know the instructors as well as possible, since they're people from all over the world, mainly Brits, but also Poles. And to really get to know the instructors, the best way is to ride motorcycles with them a bit. So I'll try to hit the track with them, talk about riding techniques, discuss their training methods. And in the meantime, we'll show you what this impressive track looks like. Mariusz Wawicki, also known as Wee Oka. Mariusz, how many years have you been running the California Superbike School?
Now it's going to be 9 years, but actually 10 if you count from when we first started talking about it and coming up with ideas and concepts which arose after observing the Polish market.
We've known each other for a while, and I can honestly say that I've always thought there was nothing more boring than learning about motorcycle riding from books. But I remember you having to cram for exams to become an instructor.
Yes, that's right. However, if theory remains purely theoretical and stays in the realm of theory, then it really is boring. But when you talk about the theory of motorcycle riding, you quickly realize that it actually applies perfectly in practice. And that's kind of the whole point, or that's where the catch is, that the theory we're talking about can be applied to motorcycle riding with great results, whether on the track or on the street. And that's probably the most interesting part of this whole thing, because here the transition from what you understand to what you can actually do is immediate and very satisfying.
Yes, I was skeptical, for example, about my participation in this kind of training, because as I mentioned earlier, these are usually people who are complete beginners, like at the first level, but later, after the ride with Martin, we already talked about it with Przemek. It turns out that here you can find something for everyone, even for someone who considers themselves fast, or whom others consider fast. And this way, you can find something in someone that can be improved.
Athletes, even the fastest ones, the very fastest, have their own coaches. And I think they're aware of the fact that fundamentally that's what they do. I know this might sound arrogant, but athletes make the same mistakes that beginners do, only they make them at greater lean angles, at higher speeds, and with greater forces acting on them and on the motorcycle. However, as a rule, we as humans are quite similar regardless of whether we are trained or untrained. We are driven by the same instincts, which trigger the same defensive reactions, the same fears, the same mental and physical limitations. So, okay, I know that athletes are skeptical, because athletes expect quick gains, or rather, a rapid decrease in lap times. However, as a rule, there isn't much difference whether it's a beginner or a fast person, regardless of the category, as I mentioned.
You stick to large racetracks, which in practice means that in Poland you have access to the Poznań track and Silesia Ring. You don't conduct training on karting tracks. I know karting tracks are fun, but tell me, why do you stick to the big tracks?
The reason is quite simple. It's the track capacity and the desire to provide people with enough space so they can really ride their motorcycles. And those are basically the technical reasons why we want to do this on large venues. We want these trainings to look just like CSS trainings all over the world. We don't want a Polish variant. We want it to look the same as it does in the UK, in Australia, in the US, or anywhere else you might go to take part in such training. These events take place on large tracks. There is space here, it's safe, there are marshals. These are greenhouse-like conditions that allow you to disconnect from any possible worries or dangers and simply focus on what you need to do.
What do you think about Silesia? You know, comparing it even to Poznań or other tracks. What advantages do you see in this layout? I'm not even talking about the infrastructure, because that's really great, but just the track itself, what advantages and disadvantages do you see in it?
Silesia Ring is definitely a structurally different track than the one in Poznań. The track in Poznań is an absolutely fantastic facility. This facility is very good from a training perspective, because it allows us, for example, to take shortcuts, to drive between.
You instructors, I mean.
Yes, for us instructors, that's right. But it's also a bit calmer. The corners here aren't, I think, as demanding as some of the corners on other typically sport-oriented tracks, and because of that, it's a safe facility where things move a bit slower. It's a great place for training, and there's no doubt about that. But you know very well that the coolest character comes from natural tracks, the ones that were created somewhere in a valley, in a hollow like Cadwell Park and so on. Poznań, in its own way, is probably also a facility that was created thanks to the surrounding conditions that made its construction possible, rather than being a place that was simply marked out on a map in an empty lot. So for racing, probably Poznań, and for training, probably here at Silesia, definitely.
What I like about Silesia, or rather, what I consider very good about Silesia for people coming to the track for the first time, is that back straight, which meets the expectations of anyone riding a sport motorcycle who wants to open up the throttle all the way. And it's there. It really is. We have a 180-degree hairpin. Then you can go full throttle all the way. You guys put in a chicane for us, so people wouldn't overdo it with the speed. But then there's heavy braking and just in case a runway.
Yes, that's right. However, the big change in speed from very high to very low, which on faster sport bikes should probably be taken in first gear, is in most cases taken in second gear. This makes such a seemingly simple turn become very demanding, because there's a big difference in speed. You have to choose the spot where you'll start turning very precisely. This means that it's often difficult to find the point where you want to be at the apex of the turn. A lot of people get carried away there, all sorts of things happen, and it shows that this main straight really is a place where you can floor it, let off some steam, see how fast it goes, how it works, and overall it's just fun. However, well, things can get tricky at the end of that straight.
Well, things can get tricky, but it's really good that we don't have gravel or a wall there. It's just, I've seen it many times during track days. Well, it's not great if someone goes on the inside and overshoots, but still, I think it's better that we have that runoff area, which simply lets you slow down.
Of course, but it's also a bit like electronics in motorcycles. Manufacturers say that motorcycles are safer because of it, but I think you'll agree that it also makes people ride faster. So all in all,
it comes out to the same thing. Well, okay. All right, so what else I like and what I wanted to point out about the track is that the corners are generally slower. You have to enter them at a lower speed, but they're difficult because, for example, they're long. You have to push yourself a bit, then tighten it up later, or theoretically take two corners with a single lean brake while leaned over. This is a brilliant thing when it comes to training for riding on the road, because on the road we encounter all sorts of corners in the mountains, and we never know if a turn will tighten or open up.
And did you notice that on the very first section of the track, you can hardly see anything? There are very few reference points, no houses, no walls, and a few other things are missing. You really have to plan your ride quite precisely so you don't get lost there at all. So it really is a great laboratory where you can train, try out, and experiment with different things so that later when you go out on the street, you're aware of what you're doing.
Yes, the only thing is, for those who truly want to go really, really fast, those drainage grates positioned by the tiles are a bit demotivating for me, personally.
They're not very grippy.
Yes, you should rather avoid them. Although Martin told me you have to try because that's where you lose time.
Yes, but that might indeed be true. However, the fundamental idea behind what we are currently doing isn't to meticulously squeeze every last bit of potential out of every single centimeter of asphalt, but rather to genuinely give individuals the essential tools and valuable opportunities that will effectively allow them to competently manage and navigate on their very own later in the future. If they're able to feel safe on that great. If they're able to avoid it, that's also great, but both situations require them to know where they are, what they're doing, what their line was, and a few other things that ensure they have control over what's happening.
Yes, that grate. Just like the chicanesum, of which you can just go straight through. And there's one that can be cut rather inelegant well. These are things that you have to forgive, because this is a training track, not a racing track.
Yes. I mean, well, training tracks, I don't know if you know, but the conditions are the same for everyone. If we were to race here, then probably those who are better would be in front. Those who are weaker would be behind, right? So I don't really know if there's a need here to categorize whether this is a training facility or a sports facility. Probably sooner or later competitions will also be held here, which I quietly hope will happen. However, as a rule, it does not matter much to us if we also treat every object we are on as a closed section of the road over which we have full control. Nothing will go wrong, everything is under control, so we focus more on the fact that we have a laboratory where we can play a little with driving techniques.
Thank you, Mariusz. See you in Poznań, and I hope that all the events will take place next year.
Thank you. Please give my regards to COVID.
Thank you, thank you. Greetings to Mr. COVID. Hi, Aga. I haven't seen you for a long time. You have a nice t-shirt.
You too.
I know. We were skeptical at the very beginning, weren't we?
Oh, very much so. And you made me really skeptical too.
I mean, no, the thing is, we came to the training, as I already mentioned. And okay, so good morning. Welcome to the school. And we're sitting there listening to things that we actually already know because we ride on tracks, right? So it's like, okay, what are we even doing here?
Yes, that's true. The thing is, the weak part is that you always have to go through the first level. And the first level is for people who have never been on a track before and are also driving on the road for the first time or have just gotten the license. And since we already have some track experience, well, it's true, we still make those mistakes. I mean, I make those mistakes, but I already know a thing or two. I already know how to behave on the track, the flags and so on. So honestly, I spent half a day kind of repeating things like being back in kindergarten. And I don't want to say it was a wasted day because every exercise is good and helps us grow. But still, it was only in the second half of the day when they finally let me use the gears, a bit of the brake and actually drive, that it got more fun. And the instructor appreciated it, saying, now you're driving better than ever before. Well, because I was doing it my way.
And they let you change gears?
Yes, that's exactly how it was.
Because the thing is, there are probably 4 levels here. But it's not like the first level is just for beginners, the second is intermediate, and so on. So what was on the first level today? It was throttle control, right?
Yes, it was throttle control. Throttle control, quick bike transitions, turning, and at the very end, working on vision looking into the turn.
Exactly. The second and third levels will probably include some elements from the first one, plus some additions, right?
That's probably how it'll be. They'll probably add braking to that, gear shifting and...
Body position?
Yes, body position, because honestly, I was really surprised there were questions about position, but that topic was completely skipped. They basically said, sit however you want and ride however you want, really.
And for that, they have my respect, because I always say you need to learn to control the motorcycle first, and only then think about your body position. Because if you're only thinking about how you're supposed to sit on the motorcycle, then you're just thinking about how to sit, not about how to actually ride it.
Yes, that's also true, because on the other hand, at a lot of trainings, they go too far in the other direction. They keep saying position, and they're constantly pushing you about your position. But they don't tell you open the throttle here, less here, close it there. So in this case, this really is a good, solid training. It would just be nice if they divided this training, the first stage for people who have been on the track and know something, and for those who haven't. So it would be like 2 groups running in parallel.
So level 1 for beginners, level 1 for intermediate riders. I don't know, level A, B. The same thing, just split into 2 subgroups. I completely agree with you on that, but overall it was a very positive day. How about Silesia Ring? How did you like the track itself?
Really nice. It's my first time here. As I keep saying since Swampchen, I keep repeating it. No, it's a really nice layout. You can really go for it here. There are two longer straights. There's a chicane, and you can really have a good run here. I don't think it's a really big track yet. Like Poznań, it's more like something in between, a nice transition between a small track, then moving up to Silesia, and only then, bam, we go to Slovakia, BRNO, or somewhere like that.
Yeah, because the track is long, there are long straights. But like we were just saying, the corners are relatively slow,
Yes,
technical. And on those big tracks, there are sometimes moments when you just have to go in at 160.
yeah, because otherwise you just won't make it through.
Exactly. We'll get to that. We're going on Thursday to Poznań. You have to make it farther than Slovenia.
Oh, I have to.
After today's training, do you feel a bit more confident?
Yes, I'll tell you. A bit, yes. I worked on what I have trouble with, which is entering the turn. I want to do everything too quickly. But
But told you that in Białystok, didn't I?
I know, and you keep telling me, but I hope you realize that here I slow down a bit, because it's always like, oh great, we're all riding together. And in here, you can go faster, you just have to practice and practice. So it was good that they forced me to leave, and that made me focus on maybe working on my thread a little.
Hello, my name is Andrzej.
Hello, Łukasz.
Listen, but you have an exhaust system, and we know that this bike produces how many horses?
220 horsepower.
Do you use it every day?
Yes, I ride it every day in the city and outside built-up areas. It's a comfortable motorcycle. In fourth or fifth gear, you can ride calmly or not ride at all. It's comfortable because you don't have to go crazy. If you want to go wild, you go to the track.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you, at least. I mean, don't lie, just wink or nod your head if you have to. Do you think you've ever used those 220 horsepower on the road?
No. I've definitely never used 220 horsepower on the road. I don't even switch it to sport or race mode because there's no point. Yeah, it's just not possible. The conditions aren't right. There are too many cars, too many people around, and so on.
So when did you come to the realization that having a bike like this, I mean, you haven't had this one for long, but you've had other powerful Ducatis. When did you realize that you just have to take it to the track?
Well, if you want to have fun and be safe, then only on the track where nothing threatens, no curbs, no road posts, no signs. Here it's safe. At worst, you'll end up in the grass or in the gravel, right? Into the gravel, and you can give it a bit of gas, let's say, and put some wear on the tires, and it's fun, right?
Do you go to track days or just the training sessions? How does it look?
I actually only go to training sessions because I consider track days a bit dangerous. There are too many people and it's just crazy. There are no clear rules, people don't stick to overtaking rules and so on.
There are rules in general, but I know that if there are 100 people and 20 or 30 people in one group, all sorts of things can happen. You're right, I completely agree. So you prefer to come to training where there's a smaller group, instructors and rules?
The rules are simple, you can ride, have fun and learn something. And I know that no one will hit me on this basis. Thank you very much.
Have fun. Prezemek or Semek?
I don't know. Ask the English and they will tell you.
Prezemek, exactly.
Presmek. And the Germans say Peshemek.
Peshemek? Peshemek. Listen man, how many years have you been racing?
5.
You've been racing for 5 years? You haven't raced for 3 years. You'll be back to racing. But what about, that's what I want to ask you. It would seem that this is just a training session. It's at the most basic level. People are on touring motorcycles. So what is someone who has already done 136 in Poznań, which is fast, doing here, and what can they learn?
You gave away my racing secret.
That you have to go fast?
That you have to go fast? No, generally speaking, when it comes to all this,
About your secret that you're going to race? No, everyone would like to race. That's a dream.
all right, let's not talk about that today. So generally, what happens at these trainings? Let me put it this way. Well, I started going to these comprehensive trainings in 2013. I successfully completed 2 distinct levels, and then, with great pride, I won the prestigious Polish Cup. After that significant achievement, I returned in 2016 for the 4th advanced level, and subsequently secured the impressive title of Polish Vice Championship. Of course, one cannot solely attribute this success to the school, but there are certainly specific, invaluable tricks taught here. The experienced guys will meticulously point out to us precisely what we might be doing incorrectly. In my particular case, it was truly just a mere handful of essential things. But those precise tips are absolutely crucial later on, especially at a more advanced and demanding stage of riding.
I had the same experience because I took part in the first lecture of the first level and thought, okay, what am I doing here? Because the instructor is talking about the simplest basics, and I'm thinking, what am I doing here? But later I had the chance to ride one-on-one with the instructor, which is what you do at level 4. And even though our riding pace was about the same, he told me, okay, here you're good. But he pointed out 2 things. Some of it I kind of knew, some I wasn't sure about. But he immediately noticed that I was tensing my upper body too much, not moving enough, that I should engage my core more. And he also mentioned that I was riding too cautiously over the ruts. And I thought to myself,
That he told you that after such a short time.
he picked up on it immediately.
That's exactly how it is.
So these trainings aren't just for total beginners, but really for everyone.
No, I recommend them for everyone. It's worth it. It's worth getting trained, it's worth learning new things, and I think everyone can find their place here.
Since you started racing motorcycles, do you still feel like riding fast on the streets?
I avoid the street. I don't like the street. Really. It's dangerous out there. You can disappear here.
Why even ride there at all?
No, that's nonsense. Don't ride on the street.
Ride on the track.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Why does the Triumph brand see value in bringing its customers to the racetrack?
This track isn't for racing, but for improving riding technique and simply learning how to use the motorcycle within the range it was designed for. A business-minded person might say, oh, you probably make money on motorcycle repairs, let people crash, ha ha ha. I think it's actually the opposite. You probably prefer your clients to ride safely. We try our best, in fact. I don't think CSS, California Superbike School, Poland has had any major crashes recently. Today we have 60 people here, and since yesterday there hasn't been a single accident or any kind of serious incident. However, one guy did get a black flag.
And what for?
It's a warning for a rider who came here to race when he's supposed to be training, and he made a few maneuvers that were a bit too aggressive, posing a risk to other participants, so he got a red flag. The second red flag, I apologize. The black flag signifies that the participant is required to immediately leave the track and cease all activity.
I was very pleasantly surprised. I didn't do much. I only managed to do 3 fast laps, 2 fast laps on the speed, and I did 3 or 4 laps on the street triple. I'll tell you, the speed is a really great bike, but the street is already so good that I think we need a new speed.
Andrzej, when it comes to the street, you can probably say a lot. You were at the test of the previous version in Almeria, so you know how it rides. The whole world knows how you ride the street, so you know yourself what the differences are. Yes, it's a good motorcycle. Definitely a good bike to start with. It's great for the city. It just suits everyone. It's easy to handle from the first encounter, and as you said yourself, on the track you can really have a lot of fun with it.
Yes, you can start on this motorcycle and you don't have to stop there because its suspension and electronics allow for truly sporty ride, even bordering on racing. So you'd say, hey, take this for a spin on the track. I thought that 1200 on the track doesn't make sense, but I see a lot of people on adventure class motorcycles because even on such a big track, they really do perform well thanks to their excellent riding technique.
We need to know that, yes, there is actually an adventure class here. California Superbike School, there's an adventure class because there are a lot of these motorcycles and a lot of riders as well. But they actually spend most of their time on asphalt, not just off-road. And the technique, improving your riding skills here, can easily be applied to the road, to everyday riding. We really invite all motorcyclists, no matter the brand, to come see and join us.
If someone tries it, I think they'll come back to the training track because this is a training track.
I think so too.
Thank you, Marek.
Thanks.
Day 3, another trek, but what a great one. Silesia Ring is truly a place that, in my opinion, every motorcyclist has to visit. You have to see it with your own eyes to believe that in Poland we really have an amazing place with a great layout and world-class infrastructure, because there's no denying that everything here is brand new, top-notch, first class. You do need to stay alert because, as we found out, there are only a few motorcycle days here throughout the year. 10, 12, it's not clear what the future will bring, whether there will be more or fewer. So we have to start checking the calendar at the beginning of the year, keeping an eye out for when we'll be able to ride here, whether it's for a track day or a training session. If it's for training, then we have to admit California seems like a really good idea, especially if you've never ridden on a track before. Here, this is the kind of training where it's not about partying, music, laughing a bit and riding a bit. No, this is the perfect place for people who like order, structure, and prefer to learn in a methodical way. As for the track itself, I really like it. I also highly recommend it to people who haven't ridden before or just want to let loose, want to test their motorcycle. Oh, it's about that very, very long straight I was mentioning. The surface is perfectly smooth. The asphalt is very grippy, so you can really push yourself here. There are some things that can be a bit discouraging, for example, coming out onto the straight and the wall is a little too close. Many people have complained about this over the years. Listen, you have to go to Spain and see that there are a lot of tracks there, unfortunately, with exits like this, and just accept it. You just have to take it into account, make an allowance for it, just factor it in. Take the right line and simply keep your distance from that wall. The rest of the corners, as Agnieszka said, it's a mix, so it's a nice transition. Coming from smaller tracks, from UTJ centers, to come here because the corners here aren't as scary as they can be, for example, on larger facilities. Besides, we have a hotel close by, right on the track itself, because the truth is, getting here is a bit inconvenient. We just drive through the middle of nowhere. On the way here, there are so many turns that by the time we reach the track, we're already sick of corners. But there's a hotel on site, so you can come a day earlier, get some sleep, and then spend 2 days here. Alternatively, there's a large camping area, a paddock, showers and toilets. Everything is brand new, sparkling. A master, simply a master. When it comes to costs, the expenses here will definitely be higher than at small racetracks or driving technique centers. Because you have to keep in mind that trainings like California cost around 2,000 zlotys for 2 days, I think. If I'm not telling the truth, we'll put a note about it here somewhere. Anyway, when it comes to a day of riding on such a track, depending on whether it's a training session or just a regular track day, you should expect to pay from 500 to 1,000 zlotys per day. Nevertheless, it's worth it, really worth it. There are things that pay off and are worth doing, and this is both worth doing and worth doing. Because developing your skills and being safe on the street is priceless. Hi! Who is smooth? Who is smooth trance?